Hey guys, so today I'm going to be showing you how to make this Yeti design, which was designed by me. So I literally just made this design like a couple days before when I'm filming this, so this is a fairly new design of mine. In fact, by the time you guys see this tutorial, you would have already seen it on Instagram, but as of when I'm filming this, I haven't even posted it on Instagram, but I absolutely love this design, so I'm deciding to make a tutorial for it. So here's my Yeti design. It's pretty cute, looks like a Yeti. I'm very happy with the overall design and shape, but one thing I'm a little undecided on is if I like it better with or without the mouth. I kind of think I like it better without the mouth. I might rip the mouth off this guy. So I glued it on kind of just to show you what it looks like, but I think it kind of looks better like this without the mouth and just being like eyes and a nose. I think this looks much cuter. But yeah, it's a Yeti. So the final version I'm going to be showing you how to make is this guy. The only difference with this guy is I made his legs a little bit too long, so I kind of shrunk him. But yeah. Difficulty wise, I don't think this design is like super hard. It's time consuming though, and I'm expecting this to be a long tutorial because whenever there's fluff bands involved, the tutorials are just long. It's just what happens. When you want to make things fluffy, it takes a little longer. Also, because of the fluff, this guy is going to be a little band heavy. My guess is he's probably going to end up taking around 500 bands. If you want the official band count, you can check down in the description box below, but my guesstimation is he's probably taking somewhere from 400 to 500 bands. Whenever you make things fluffy again, things just get band heavy. That's not an official band count though. You can check down in the description for the official band count. I'm just kind of doing a guesstimation. And yeah. So that's pretty much all I have to say about this design. I do think that this guy kind of looks cuter like this with no mouth and just the cheeks and then his face, and I really like this design. And yeah, so I guess we'll get into it. Of course you're going to need a hook and some bands. I'll be using my double-ended hook today. You don't need a double-ended hook. You can use whatever hook, Rainbowloom hook, crochet hook. I just really love this hook, so I'll be using this hook. As for colors today, I'm going to be doing colors very similar to this guy. So for his face and like ends of arms and legs, I'm going to be doing purple, and then for his whole body I'm going to be using 3 different colors of like white, I guess. I don't know. I have like opaque white, the glow in the dark pastel white, and then this glitter white, so like 3 different whites, but basically his fur is going to be white. And what else do you need? You're going to need a C-clip just to mark your rows with. You can use an S-clip, a band, anything. You just basically need something to mark where you start and end. And then the very last thing you'll need is, if you want to do a face, you're going to need beads for that. Probably like 2 pink bands for the cheeks if you want to do the cheeks. And you're also going to need stuffing, and I think that pretty much covers it. So yeah, I honestly kind of think I do like this design without the mouth, so I think I'm going to end up ripping the mouth off this guy, but I wanted to show you both options. But yeah, I think we'll get started so you can make a Yeti. I'm very excited. I also feel like there's so many different color combos you can do with these guys, but yeah, I'm gonna do another one similar to this guy today. As always, the pattern will be in the description, so you can check the description box down below for the pattern in case you want to follow along and read the pattern at the same time. I know a lot of you guys said you like to do that, but we are going to get started. I'm just going to be picking up some bands. I'm also, like I said earlier, expecting this to be a long tutorial, just filming wise and everything. Whenever things have fluff, it's just really long. And when I was making this guy to like write down his pattern, it took a minute, and I'm like, man, this is gonna be a long tutorial, but it'll be worth it because the Yeti is so cute. So get whatever colors you want, and then we are going to get started. Also, just a quick note, if you loom the exact same way I do, where I kind of like put all the bands on my finger, is if you want to do like multiple colors for the fur, like I did in this guy, if you don't want it to look like the fur is one color, then the creation's another, and you're doing 2 colors, you kind of probably want to do 3. This is just something I've noticed that, like, because like the way I loom is I put all the bands in order on my hook, and then for the fluff I'll wrap one and then I'll make the stitch. So if you do, this is probably really complicated, but just because, yeah. So if you're doing 2 colors, you might want to actually do 3 just because it kind of makes it look a little more random. I don't know how else to explain it, but you want to either do like 3 colors or 5, I think, for like multiple color fur to look best. Just a note that I thought I would throw in because, yeah, I don't know. I thought it might be helpful. I don't know, but that's basically why I'm using 3 colors today. Anyways, we're going to start by wrapping a band 3 times around our hook. So this is 1, 2, and then 3. And then we are going to pull a band through everything on our hook, put both ends back on our hook, and then push the back one over the front one, like that. And now what we're going to do is we're going to take this off our hook, we're going to hold on to it, we're going to take another band, we're going to wrap it twice around our hook, we're going to put this back on our hook, and then we're going to slide this band over. And basically what this band is it's a fluff band, so it's to make him look fluffy. And this whole design, basically, until I specifically say otherwise, you're going to be adding fluff. And all fluff is it is a band wrapped twice. And you want to put it on your hook before you do the next stitch. So you're going to put your fluff band on, and then we're going to go back through the cat band. You're going to pull a band through just the cat band, so not any of these other loops, just the cat band. Both ends back on your hook, push the back one over the front one, and then push the fluff band over, and then push the loop from last time over as well. Like that. So we're going to do that again. We're going to start again by wrapping a fluff band, so we'll wrap a band twice around our hook. Then we'll go through the cat band. We'll pull a band through just the cat band, so not the fluff band and not that last loop. Both ends back on our hook, push the back one over the front one, push the fluff band over, and then push the loop from last time over. And we're just going to do this 2 more times, so we have 5 stitches in our cat band in total. So once again, we start by wrapping a fluff band on our hook, go through the cat band, pull a band through, both ends on our hook, push the back one over the front one, fluff band, and then the loop from last time. Do that one more time. Having issues. That. So now you should be at 5 loops, and you're just going to want to count to make sure you're at 5 loops. So we'll start by counting the one on our hook. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. I feel like I'm going to sneeze. Sorry. I don't know. We're good though. I didn't sneeze. But yeah, so you should have 5 loops, and once you've made sure you have 5 loops, instead of going into the cat band, you're going to go in through this first loop here. And once again, we're going to want to remember to add our fluff band first. And I need to pick up bands because I'm out of bands on my finger. That's another kind of pain with whenever we're adding fluff bands, is I have to pick up bands like twice as more often because you just run out quicker. But it's okay. So, like I said, instead of going into the cat band, we're going to go in through this first loop here. I already have my fluff band on my hook. And we're going to do the same thing. We're going to pull a band through just the loop, both ends back on our hook, push the back one over the front one, and then push the fluff band over, and then the loop from last time. And now we're going to put a C-clip on this band. Like that. So that was the first bit. Next we're going to be increasing everything, and what that basically means is that every single stitch we do is going to be an increase, and I'll show you what it increases in case you don't know. But basically all an increase is we're putting 2 stitches per loop. This first loop already has 1 stitch in it, but because we're increasing, we want to go back in and do another stitch. So we're going to once again, and I'm not going to always remind you of this as we keep moving on in the pattern, but basically from here until I say specifically sometimes at the end of the pattern, we're adding fluff bands. And so basically anytime before you make a stitch for the rest of this design, you need to wrap like a band on your hook. Like every time before we make a stitch. And I'm mentioning it right now because we're towards the start of this tutorial, but once we keep going, I'm not gonna mention it as much because it should just be kind of like a habit to do it, because this guy, he needs fluff bands, he's fluffy. I don't know. Anyways, once you have the fluff band on your hook, you're gonna go and you're gonna make a second stitch. So, oh, okay, my C-clip fell out, so I gotta put it back in, but we're just gonna make a stitch. And then that would be an increase because there's 2 stitches in this one loop. And let me put my C-clip back in because it fell out. Luckily I know where it goes. I don't know why it fell out. Anyways, I'll show you what an increase is again because I know that first one could be a little confusing. Once again, don't forget to add your fluff band. But then we're going to go into the next loop. We'll make a stitch. And then we're going to go back in. Make another stitch. Gosh dang. Sorry, it's sometimes so hard to lose things, especially when there's fluff bands involved. But you'll just make another stitch, and that'll be an increase. And we're just going to keep doing this all the way around until we get to the C-clip. So once again, we go into the next loop, we do one stitch, then we go back in, do another stitch, and that'll be our increase. And we're just going to keep repeating this all the way around. Once again, I am out of bands. So, you know, it's kind of sad because this is, well, not sad, but it's, I don't know, it's a thing. I don't know what to say. My gosh, but this is going to be like the last tutorial I film at my usual desk because I'm leaving to university this Friday, so I'm headed back. We're going to be at a different desk in a couple weeks, but it's okay. I'll still be looming, just in a different location, but it's the last tutorial on this desk for a little bit, so I don't know. Just a thought. What were we doing? Oh, we're already on the next loop. And we're just still increasing until we get to the C-clip. And you wanna know what's really bad about these clear bands is that, like, this kind of looks like the C-clip, but it isn't. The C-clip's over here. When I did the other guy with the bands, I had these, like, glitter bands. I kept mistaking things for the C-clip that were not the C-clip. Anyways, once you get to the band with the C-clip on it, you're just gonna make a stitch on the band that has a C-clip on it. And we're gonna move it up. So we're gonna take it off the band it's currently on and move it up onto the band that is on our hook. And now if we count around, we should be at 10 loops. So we'll start by counting the one on our hooks. We should have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Like that. So that was it for the first, well, this step. Oh my god, speaking today. That was it for this step. So for the next step, what we're going to do is we are going to be increasing every, oh my god, I scratched out a lot. But I think we're increasing every other. Yeah, we're increasing every other. And at the end of this row, we should have 14 loops, and we're not going to do the last increase. So a couple different things going on this row, but I will walk you through it. Okay, almost got enough bands. There we go. So like I said, we're increasing every other, and that basically means is we're just alternating between doing a single stitch and then an increase. So this first one here with a C-clip on it is going to be our single stitch, so this next one's going to be an increase. So we do the same thing where we put 2 stitches in the one loop. It's one. And that's kind of a struggle with the fluff bands, is if you let go of it, the fluff band comes off as well. So I gotta put it back. Okay, so that was one stitch. Gotta go back in and do another because it's an increase. Okay, so we just increased, so the next stitch we do is going to be a single stitch. Like that. And then because we just did a single stitch, the next one's going to be an increase. So as you can see, we're just alternating between doing single stitches and increases all the way around until we get to the C-clip. Almost there. So I'm just continuing to alternate. I'm trying to see what I did last. Okay, so this one's an increase. But I'm out of bands on my finger. Just picking up bands. You know, I was thinking that this also might make a really cute Sasquatch design. Like, I think if you made like a brown Yeti, it would look like a Sasquatch. Sadly, I'm like nearly out of all my brown colors. Like I need to do a Rainbowloom order, but just order like skin tones and browns because I'm running low on skin tones and browns. So I need to do that, but I think that this would make like a really cute Sasquatch design kind of too. If you just like flip the colors a little bit, I think it would be adorable. Okay, so we just increase, the next one's a single stitch. You know, I also feel like if you don't, like I said, if you want to make like a Sasquatch and not a Yeti, you can do so many different fun colors with this design. Also, don't pay attention to what's happening right now. I kind of just accidentally took my hook out again. So I'm just fixing it. But we're good. But yeah, I feel like this is a design that you can do so many different fun colors with. And it would still come out so cute. What did I do last? Okay, I did a single stitch last, so this one's an increase. We're gonna do a single stitch. Okay, so on this last one here before the C-clip, we're supposed to do an increase, but we're not gonna. We're just gonna do a single stitch, and that's pretty much it. So on this last one before the C-clip that's supposed to be an increase, don't do it. Just do a single stitch. And yeah. And I'll explain why in a second, but I'm just gonna finish off this row. So once you get to the C-clip, you'll just make a single stitch on the one that has a C-clip on it. And we'll move it up. So now if we count around, we should be at 14 loops. So we'll start by counting the one on our hook. So we should have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Like that. So the reason why we didn't do this last increase is mainly because when we do the legs, so we're kind of done increasing for now, but when we do the legs, we want to have an even amount of stitches. So we don't want to have 15 stitches, we want to have 14 because we can evenly split that in half and then do 7 for one leg and 7 for the other leg. So yeah, that's why we didn't do that last increase, but it just makes things easier later. Anyways, now is where we are going to get a bit repetitive. We are going to do 5 rows normal, so just 5 rows of single stitches, and all we're doing is we're basically just doing 1 stitch per loop all the way around until we get to the C-clip. And I need to pick up more bands again. But yeah, we're just doing 5 rows of single stitches, so at the end of each of these rows you should still be at 14 loops. We're still adding fluff bands. I'm probably going to stay and do like the first 2 rows with you, and then I'm going to go off and do the other 3, just so this tutorial isn't like ridiculously long. But I feel like after we do a couple rows together, you should be able to get the hang of it, and then, yeah. I'm also still picking up bands. I'm trying to fill the silence here. I'm also really liking the colors I chose for this guy. I'll show you in a second, but like they look really nice together. I am also totally going to have to make one that looks kind of like a Sasquatch. But not right now, but like when I get brown bands eventually. Because look at this. Like, I'm loving these colors I chose. He looks so icy, which was kind of the point. Like, he looks perfect. Anyways, we're just going to keep doing single stitches all the way around. So we're just doing 1 stitch per loop. And we're still adding fluff bands. And that's pretty much it. So like I said, I'm going to stay. I'm going to do 2 rows with you. And then I'm going to go off and do the other 3. So we have 5 rows total. And this is the first of 5 rows. So that's 1. And I'm just doing single stitches. And I know it's also kind of hard sometimes, and I think that's why I'm looming a little bit slower in this tutorial, is because like you don't want to snag any of the fluff bands. So you gotta be a little more careful. Or at least I'm being a little bit more careful. But yeah, just remember to add your fluff bands, and you're just doing single stitches all the way around. And I'm about halfway right now. You know, I kind of can't. I mentioned this back in my mini tutorial. I mentioned this in my mini turtle tutorial I filmed recently, but I think that this year might be my 10-year looming anniversary, which is kind of fun. I can't believe I've been looming for 10 years. I have to do the official math, but my sister was helping me calculate because we actually got our first Rainbowloom on her birthday, so we're like 99% sure that this year in the summer on her birthday is going to be my 10-year anniversary of looming, which I am, like, it's kind of insane to think I've been looming for 10 years, but it kind of makes sense. But I've also just been telling people, like, even this past year that I've only been looming for, like, 7, so I guess I was lying. But time's weird, and I didn't realize it's been that long. But I kind of feel like I have to do something maybe big this summer, because it is going to be 10 years of looming, and I'm like, what? That's so insane. Like, I honestly just can't believe I've been looming that long, and that I've kind of kept this hobby for that long, but I really enjoy doing it. And I guess that's why when I see a lot of new loomers who are like, oh, it's like hard to loom like you do, it's like, yeah, I've kind of been doing this forever though, so, you know, just give yourself a couple years. But I don't know, it's just insane to think I've been doing this so long. I'm also really feeling like I have to do something special this summer, because I'm like, it's really like 10 years of me looming, like that's insane. And I think when I first got this hobby, I definitely did not think I was gonna last this long, but I have. And, you know, it's fun. It's fun. Anyways, that was one row around of single stitches. Like I said, I'm gonna stay and do the 2 rows with you. So that was one row. If we count it around, we should still be at 14. I'm gonna keep going, and I'm gonna count when I'm done with the 5 rows. So like I said, we just did 1. We have to do 5 rows total, so I'm just gonna keep going. And yeah, we're gonna do 1 more row. Okay. And I need to pick up bands again. Oh my god. See, that's what I said earlier. This guy, he uses so many bands. Like, I just have to keep picking up bands. But yeah. Also, if you don't know and you're kind of new to my channel, I basically do something big, like looming contest thing in the summer. So I'm already starting to think, like, what am I going to do this summer? And then when I found out, like, it's my 10-year Loomiversary, or I don't know what I want to call it, but I'm now like, I really need to do something fun and special for this summer. But it's also kind of hard because I am going to have to take at least 2 classes this summer, because I'm also in school right now. So I'm like, that kind of makes things difficult, because I have to take at least 2 classes this summer so I can eventually graduate. But yeah, so we're just continuing around doing single stitches. This is the 2nd row. I'm just staying on with you, and then after this one I'm gonna go off and finish this guy. Well, finish the 5 rows, not finish him completely and then come back and be like, he's done. No, that would not be very helpful. But yeah, I guess if you guys have any suggestions though of maybe what I should do this summer for my big, like, kind of band giveaway slash just like fun thing to do in the summer. I know these past couple years I did contests, but I'm kind of leaning this year to maybe doing a loom game. I don't know how it's gonna work, or something similar to a loom game. I'm kind of still working it out, but I have a couple different ideas, and I'm like, that could be really fun. And I'm definitely already gonna have to start saving up and like thinking, of course, money-wise, because if I do a giveaway, I kind of gotta fund that myself. But I'm very excited. I also love hosting like kind of a fun loomy game thing in the summer, which I think I'm gonna honestly do some form of loom game this year. Like I said, though, the only difficult thing is I think I'm gonna have to start it in May, because I am gonna have to take a summer class, but I think I have to take, because there's like 2 summer semesters when you're in college, and I think I have to take the later semester. So I think I might have to host it like May to June. Nah, my school's gonna start in July, so it would have to be a May to June kind of thing. I don't know. I don't know if any of this blabbering is interesting to you, but kind of just thinking out loud at the moment. And if you have any suggestions for what I should do this summer for like a loom thing, you know, let me know. But yeah. Also, kind of a note on this Yeti. I'm also picking up bands, that's why I'm just talking, because it takes a second. But he was kind of inspired by a Christmas ornament I saw on our tree, and I just, like, I saw his shape, and I'm like, you know what? That would be the cutest thing if I did it as a loom design. So I kind of stole this shape from an ornament, which I've noticed I do a lot for my band designs. Sometimes I'll see, like, a plushie or something, and I'm like, that would make really, like, a really cool Loomigurumi thing. So I kind of just copy the shape and then make it into a Loomigurumi thing. I mean, obviously there's some differences, but yeah, I just think it's kind of funny how many times I've been inspired by like random things. But yeah, this was inspired by an ornament on our Christmas tree, and I was like, I should make a Yeti. And I'm so glad I did. Anyways, that's row 2, so we just did 2 rows of single stitches, and your Yeti should be looking something like this. Also, if you count it around, you should still be at 14 loops, but I'm gonna go off. I'm gonna do the other 3 rows, so we have 5 rows total, and then I'm gonna come back and show you what to do next. Okay, so I finished the 5 rows. So after you do 5 rows total, it should look something like this. About this big, and like I said, if you count around, you should still be at 14 loops, so let's count around real quick. So we should have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Is that 15? I can't. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Okay, there's only 14, I just can't count. So yeah, so after we do 5 rows normal, it should look like this. You should still be at 14 loops. And now we're gonna make the legs. So like I kind of explained earlier, there's 14 loops, we want 2 legs, so we kind of just separate it into there's like 7 loops per leg. That's the best way I can think about it. So basically, we're gonna, like I said, split this in half, so we can kind of count which ones we want the legs to be. So this will be 1, so we have 1, 2, 3, and then I think we'll go across after here, because we want to, you see how he's kind of flattened? So we kind of want to think of this as like a half, so we'll go 1, 2, 3, and then 4, 5, 6, 7. And that'll be our first leg. And we're pretty much just going to do single stitches around just this bit, just to make the first leg. It's not too complicated, I'll show you. And we're still adding fluff bands, by the way, so we're still adding fluff. That's 1, 2, then we do 1 more, so it's 3. And then we're going to go across here, so we're just going to go across and make a single stitch. So right here. I'm going to go across, make a single stitch. And we also only want 6 loops, so we are decreasing on one, and I'm going to decrease on this one right here. So on the next loop, we are going to do a decrease, and all it decreases is we're going to grab the inside part of one loop and the back part of the next loop, and we're going to make a stitch like that, and then we're just going to do a single stitch on this last loop here, and then you should be at the C-clip. So then we just make a stitch on the C-clip and we move it up. So that was the first row of a leg. I'm sorry if that's a little complicated, but basically all we did was we split this in half. We did 7 loops per, but we did 1 decrease, so we only should have 6 loops now. So we can count, so we should have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And that'll make a leg. So now we're just going to do 2 rows around this little thing we made. And if you're still confused on the leg, you can fast forward to when I do the other leg and maybe it'll make more sense, but I'm just going to keep going for now. So yeah, we're just going to do 2 rows of single stitches around this little leg piece, I guess. I also don't know how else I can explain that. That's like the best I can do with leg explaining. It's just kind of confusing. But we basically just have to split this guy in half and make legs. And it gets kind of hard to see here just because of how tight it is. Luckily we don't have to do too many rows and you can kind of see where the loops are. But it's kind of just hard to see in general. So if you can't really see what I'm doing, I'm trying my best to keep my fingers away, but it's just really tiny right now, so there's not much I can do. But yeah. And believe it or not, we're almost done pretty much after we do the legs. I mean, the main portion will be done, and then we just gotta make arms and then like all his face things. But I think once we finish the main body, it kind of goes kind of quick. So, yay. I don't know, I feel like in these tutorials sometimes I'm so focused on like finishing, like because I feel like you guys want the finished product, but I don't know. I always enjoy the process of looming, so I'm kind of just, you know, having fun making a Yeti. Hopefully you are too. I mean, I guess half the fun of making loom things is making them. Oh my gosh. Okay. So we're just gonna keep going around. We're almost at the C-clip, and it's just really hard to see. Okay, so that was one row. We're gonna move our C-clip up and then we'll do our second row. And I'm not going to count to make sure I still have 6 loops until we're done with our second row. So we'll move our C-clip up. And I'm just going to go ahead and do the second row. And it's still so hard to see what we're doing. Oops. I'm so sorry if you can't see what I'm doing. It's just kind of hard to see right now, even for me. I have such a bad mess on my desk. Okay. You know, I don't know why I picked up so many white bands. We don't even need this many. We're almost done with the leg. Oops. But it's fine. Okay, and then once you get to the C-clip, we're at the C-clip. So once you get to the one with the C-clip on it, we're actually going to switch to purple. Well, purple for me, whatever other color for you, but whatever your second color is, we're going to switch to it right now. So we're going to switch to purple for me, so we're just going to pull this band through everything on our hook, and then push the back one over the front one, and we'll move our C-clip up. So that's pretty much it for the 2 rows normal. We should still be at 6 loops, so if you count, you should still have 6. We should have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And now we're just going to do 1 row in purple, basically our second color. So we're still just doing 1 row of single stitches. You should still be at 6 loops after this row. The only difference is we're doing it in purple now, and we're not adding fluff anymore. So this little leg piece, we don't add any fluff on. We're just doing single stitches in purple, and we're not adding fluff anymore. And I'm not taking the white off my finger yet because I have to like use it for the other leg anyways, so I'm just leaving it. We're just going to go around doing single stitches in our second color. And it is so hard to like loom around this little bit, but it's okay. And then once you get to your C-clip, you're just going to make a stitch on the one that has a C-clip on it and move it up. And like I said, you should still be at 6 loops, so if we count, we should have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And now we're going to close this up. So we're going to just decrease everything until it's closed. So every single stitch we do is going to be a decrease until we can't decrease anymore. Oops, my hook just slid out. Luckily the C-clip held it. But we're just going to decrease everything until it's closed. And once again, a decrease is just you grab the inside part of one loop, back part of the next loop, and then you make a stitch. So we'll do that again. We grab the inside part of one loop, back part of the next loop, and we would make a stitch, but I actually think this is the last decrease we can do. So I'm just going to pull the band through everything on my hook. So I have picked up that decrease. I'm just going to pull the band through everything on my hook, push the back one over the front one, and pull tight. Then I'll just take the C-clip out at this point. And we'll tuck in our tail, and that's pretty much it for this leg. So we kind of just got to repeat the last couple things we did on the other side to make the other leg. Like I said, he kind of comes together really quickly once you get to the legs. There's one leg. And at this point we're also going to stuff him because he's got like no inside. So we got to stuff him. And then we'll get started on the other leg. So you can use whatever you want to stuff, polyfill. I like using cotton balls, so that's what I'm using today. And I just like to tear them up and stick them inside. That. I usually don't stuff the leg. To me it doesn't need it, so I just stick stuffing in the main part. I don't really put any stuffing in the leg. I just I don't feel like it needs it, so it's fine. So it's fine. Yeah. Okay. So once you've stuffed him and he's all stuffed up, we're gonna go ahead and do the other leg. So we're gonna repeat all the exact same steps we did for the other side to this side. So once again, we're gonna start by kind of using these last 7 loops to just go around and make the other leg. We can just start on the last loop we didn't use for the other side. So you can kind of see that there's a stitch on this loop. So we don't use this loop. We're gonna go on the one right after it. And we're just gonna start going around basically. And once again, we're adding fluff bands again because we're back into the white color. So basically we just don't add fluff bands when it's purple. But because we're doing the other leg, we need to start adding fluff again. And we're just going to start by making a stitch, and this first stitch we do, we can put a C-clip on it because this is going to be where we start and end. And same as last time, we're just going to go around these 7 stitches here. We should only have 7 left because we used 7 on the other side and we had 14 loops total. So if we counted, we should have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And we still want to decrease one of them, so that way we only have 6 loops, but you can decrease whatever. I don't decrease in the same spot every time. I usually just pick a spot and it doesn't really matter where, and I decrease. I'm actually going to just decrease on this next one so I don't forget to do it. So on this next one, I'll grab the inside part of one loop, back part of the next loop, make a stitch. That. And then the rest of the way will just be single stitches. And there should only be 7 loops left. So you can kind of tell where to stop. Completely out of white bands over here. Once again, I'm just picking up bands because I ran out of bands on my finger again. Oops. Dropping stuff. Okay. Or were we? Oh, we were almost there. So once you've gone on all 7 of the other loops, you can usually tell because there'll be a stitch on the next loop. I can tell that there's a stitch there. So you'll just turn and you're going to go into the first loop that has a C-clip on it. And you'll just make a single stitch. And then move your C-clip up. And then if you count around, you should have a little thing that has 6 stitches. So if we counted, we should have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And just like before, we're going to do 2 rows normal around this. So we're just going to do 2 rows of single stitches around this little circle we made. We're just doing single stitches around. I also don't really have too much to talk about, that's why we've gone silent. We've hit that point in the tutorial. I've told you everything I've wanted to say, and my voice is a little tired. But it's okay. We're just making a Yeti. I really, like I said earlier, like all I've been thinking about is like, man, this would be such a cute, I'm gonna have to make like a brown version of these and then call him a Sasquatch. I mean, basically, Sasquatches are just brown Yetis, right? Like, am I wrong? I don't know. I don't think so. So that was one row. We have to do one more. I mean, yeah, Sasquatches are brown Yetis, I'm pretty sure. I don't know if that's a thing, but that's what I think of when I think, like, it's just a brown Yeti. So, yeah. I think I like took out the perfect amount of bands for this guy just by chance, because I never count like how many bands I take out. I just pull out some and I'm like, good enough. But I think I have like the perfect amount, because after this we just have to make his arms, I'm pretty much done. This guy's honestly coming out faster than I thought. I thought this tutorial was gonna be like almost 2 hours, and I think it's only gonna be like maybe an hour and 15, so it's like way less time than I thought. Maybe I'm looming fast. Am I looming fast? Are you guys trying to keep up? I'm sorry if I am. I always think I'm going slow, and then someone in the comments is like, "You're going so fast," and I'm like, "I'm sorry." But it's fine. You can always pause if I'm looming way too fast. Anyways, so that was the second row of single stitches, and once we get to the C-clip, we're gonna flip to purple. So get your second color of bands, which is, like I said, purple for me. Once again, now I'm just picking up purple bands. But we're gonna slip stitch to purple, so we're gonna pull this band through everything on our hook, and then push the back one over the front one. And we'll move our C-clip up. And we should still be at 6 loops, so we're going to count around to make sure we still have 6. So we'll start by counting the one on our hook. So we'll have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And now we're going to do one row around in purple. And once again, once we get to the purple, we're not adding fluff bands anymore. We're just doing a row of single stitches with no fluff around in purple. And it is still really hard to see what we're doing. And then once you get to the C-clip, you'll just make a stitch on the one that has a C-clip on it. And we could move it up, but I'm just going to take it out because, as you know, the next row we're just decreasing everything until it's closed. So we're just going to decrease until we can't anymore. And I'm pretty sure we only have to do 2 decreases, so we'll pick up our first decrease, so we pick up the inside part of one loop and the back part of the next loop. Make a stitch. And then we'll do that again, so we pick up the inside part of one loop, back part of the next loop, and we're just going to pull a band through everything on our hook. And then push the back one over the front one and pull tight. And then we will hide our tail into our leg. Like that. And then you should have the main body for your Sasquatch. Sasquatch, Yeti. We're making a Yeti. Or Sasquatch, I guess. Whichever you prefer. And one thing I do like to do is I like to just tie the legs shut. I don't like there's kind of a gap in the middle. So I'll just come in between. Just so the stuffing stays in. And you don't have to do this. And you just basically pull a band through and then tie it together. And I just like to do that so it's more like, I don't know. I don't like that there's a hole on the bottom. You definitely don't have to tie it closed. I just like to tie it closed. That's just a me thing. Okay, so there's the main part of our Yeti. We need to do the arms next, and what do we have left to do? I guess we have to do the horns, the arms, and then the face, and then we're pretty much done. So I'm gonna start with the arms, and yeah. Also, just a note, my sister said that when he looks like this, he looks like an Among Us character, and he kinda does. He kinda does. Okay. Okay, so the arms. I went and paused and made one arm, and now I'm going to show you how to make the other arm. I don't know why I paused and made one first. I just thought that it would be better for the tutorial purposes. So we're going to make one arm, and I'm going to show you how to attach it and everything, and then you're going to go off and make the other arm. So the arms are kind of simple. We start with our hand color, so you're going to want to get whatever color you did for like the bottom of his feet. Unless you're doing a different color for his hands, but you're going to want to get that color. So for me, that is purple. And once again, we're going to start with a triple cap band with 5 stitches in it. And we're not adding fluff once again because it's the hand color, so we're just doing, what was I going with that? I don't even know. But we're going to wrap a band 3 times around our hook. Then we're going to pull the band through. We're going to put both ends back on our hook and then push the back one over the front one. And then we're going to, my camera would focused, we're going to go back through the cap band. Make sure you go through the whole cap band. And then you're going to pull the band through just the cap band. Put both ends back on your hook. Push the back one over the front one. And then push the loop from last time over as well. And we're going to repeat that thing we just did 3 more times. So we have 5 loops in the cap band in total. So we'll go back through, pull the band through just the cap band, both ends back on our hook, push the back one over the front one, and then push the loop from last time over as well. Just do that 2 more times. That's 1, 2. So once we have 5 stitches in the cap band, we're going to want to count to make sure. So we'll start by counting the one on our hook. So we should have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And once we've done that, we're going to switch over to our white, well, white for me, but whatever your main color is, I guess. So we're going to switch over to that. So pick that up, and we're also going to start adding fluff again. So I'm just going to pick up some bands, and then I will show you what to do. I feel like my voice is so tired from talking already, so if I'm a little silent, that is why. Just after a certain amount of time, man, my voice is just like, we're done. We're not used to talking this much, and I'm like, sorry. But I'm good. Okay. There we go. So like I said, we're going to switch over to our white now. So we're going to go in through this first loop here. We're going to pull the band through everything on our hook and then push the back one over the front one. And like I said, we're going to start adding fluff bands on these. So we're going to take our hook out of that, wrap a band once on our hook, or I guess twice. And then we'll just slide that on. And then we'll put our C-clip on this one. What did I do with my C-clip? That is a great question. Oh god. Did I lose my C-clip? Oh no. Okay, I can get a new one, but I don't know what happened to my C-clip. I had it right now. Oh, it's right here. Never mind. Here's my C-clip. And we're just going to put it on this band. So now it's going to get a bit repetitive. We're going to do 4 rows normal around this. So we're just going to do 4 rows of single stitches. And at the end of each of these rows, you should still be at 5 loops. Yeah, that's pretty much it. It is a little hard to do because it is very tight, but there's kind of no other way to do it. So hopefully it's not too bad. I don't think it's too bad. It's just a little tight, which is kind of annoying more than anything else, but hopefully it's fine. It is literally so hard to do this because it's so tiny. Yeah, I'm sorry if you can't see. It's just too tiny for that, man. So that was 1 row. We have to do 3 more rows like that. And I think I'm just going to stay on camera and do all 3 rows. Unless I end up really struggling with these rows. I think I'm just going to stay on and do all 3. But that was 1 row. And like I said, if you count around, you should still be at 5 loops. But I'm going to count until the end. And if I'm being honest, if you had 6 loops, it probably wouldn't make too much of a difference. But, yeah. Out of white bands again. Okay. This is taking me so long just because I'm really trying. Like, I don't know, it just always takes so longer when it's small as well because you have to be careful not to snag anything. We almost have row 2. Okay. So that was row 2. And like I said, we're doing 4 rows, so we're going to do 2 more. And I'm just going to stay on camera and complete these 2 rows. Trying to think if I had anything interesting to talk about while we finish this arm up. But I don't think I do. I think I mentioned already that I'm going back to school and like, well, we're leaving this Friday as of when I'm filming this. It's Tuesday, so we're leaving in a few days to take me back. Because I go to school a little bit away from where my parents live, I guess. Still in Texas, but a little farther. I mean, Texas is huge, so that shouldn't be a surprise. But yeah, I'm excited to go back. I'm excited for my classes. I'm taking 4 studio classes, so I'm taking, I don't know if I've told you guys already, but I'm taking ceramics 1, painting 3, expanded media 1, drawing 1, Did I already say ceramics? Painting 3. Yeah, I think that's all of them. Wait, am I missing? No, that's all my classes. And I'm really excited. I'm most excited for ceramics. I've never done ceramics, but I think it would be fun. It's also, ceramics also seems so messy, but I'm kind of like down for that, so I'm really excited for that class. I think of all my classes, that's definitely the one I'm most excited for. So that was row 3, so I'm gonna move my C-clip up and then I'll do the last row. I'm also like so, honestly, so glad I'm done with like all my usual like school classes, I guess is kind of like the basics or whatever, like sciences and like math. Because I was never good at those, and it's kind of like school's fun for me now because it's actually what I'm interested in. Like, I just have to make things for school, which it's funny because it would be torture for some people, but like I love it and I'm so excited for my classes. So yeah, I'm excited to go back, but also I may or may not be drowning in schoolwork because I don't know how intense my studio classes are going to be because I've never taken more than 2 studio classes at once, and now I'm taking 4, which might be a mistake, but it's too late now, so we'll see. We'll see how it goes. And I'm almost there. But yeah, my sister already told me, she was like, if you're taking ceramics, you better make me like a bowl or a mug. I want a mug. And I'm like, okay. I don't even know if I'm gonna have to make a mug, but if I do, I will make you one. Okay, so once we get to the C-clip, after our 4 rows, we are gonna want to count around and make sure we still have 5 loops, so we're gonna count, so we should have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And your arm should be looking something like this after the 4 rows. And once we get to the C-clip, we're just gonna go through that band that has a C-clip on it. We're gonna pull a band through, and we can take the C-clip out at this point, so let's just take the C-clip out. Oh my god. Take it out. Free the C-clip. Okay. And basically we're going to use this band to tie it into our Yeti. So let me show you where kind of like the Yeti's arms on this guy so you can kind of see where to place them. But we're going to tie the top towards the back and then we tie it one time towards the front. So we're going to kind of want to come like the side here. Like right here on the side probably. Yeah, like right here. And we're going to use this band to just tie it into our Yeti. And then basically we're going to want to tie the other side down as well because we didn't exactly close this up. So we have this one side tied down. You're going to come kind of like opposite of that and come through one of the loops. And then you'll tie that into the Yeti as well. Doesn't really matter where. You're just going to go through part of the loop and then go through part of your Yeti. And you'll just tie it in. As you can see, I'm not tucking any of the tails in yet. That's just because if I want to move the arm, then I can. And then we're going to come right here in the front, and we're going to tie like this inside part of the hand to the Yeti. And that's pretty much it. Like that. And then that's how you attach the arm. And I wouldn't tuck any of the arm tails in until we have both arms on, because if one of the arms are crooked, you obviously are going to want to move it. But I already have my other arm, so I'm going to go ahead and tie it in, but you probably don't, so you're going to want to pause here, make your other arm, and then come back. So, yeah. I'm just undoing the knot I did to temporarily hold the arm. But we're going to want to get our arm, and we're going to try to tie it in about the same spot. It doesn't have to be exact, just like the general same area. It's probably a good spot to aim for. And we're just going to tie it in. And like I said, I try to tie it twice on the top of the arm. You can tell it's not closed, so I just go through like another part of it. And I'll just tie it in. Like that. And then once you have the top of the arm tied on, you'll just come like close to where the hand is. Go through part of it, and then go through part that's close to the Yeti. We'll just tie it together. And then you can check where your arms are. I kind of think I tied him a little too high. Because he doesn't really look like he has a head. He's just like arms to nothing. I probably could have tied him a little lower, but I'm going to leave him. And I'm just going to tuck in the tails. And tucking in the tails on this guy is super easy because he's so fluffy. Like, you can just pull him in, and if they stick out it's fine because you can't really tell anyways. So hiding the tails on this guy is super easy. So we're just going to want to hide in all our tails, and then once we've done that, I will show you what to do for the face. And I think we're more or less done at that point. Okay. So now your Yeti should be looking something like this. I probably should have tied his arms a little lower, but it was kind of hard to see what I was doing on camera. So I'm going to show you how to do the horns next. So we're going to put his horns on. And I did his horns in the same color as his hands and face in the other one. So this color, I don't know. You can do whatever color, but I just made a match. We're going to get some of that color. Okay. And we're going to start by wrapping one band 4 times around our hook. So we have 1, 2, then we can grab both of those, and then it'll be 4. Then we're going to take one band, double it, slide that band onto this, both ends back on our hook, and then we're going to take 2 bands, we're going to double them, and then we're going to slide this onto these doubled bands. And I honestly hate doubling 2 bands because everything's so tight then. Like that. And then we're going to take a band in the color of our Yeti, and we're just going to pull it through, and then we're just going to use this band to tie our horns on. Like that. Honestly, the thing that's so nice about this design is you really don't have to worry about the tails at all. So that's one horn. And you can kind of like push it to one side if you want it to look a little curved. Or you can like pull on it with your hook. I've done that before. So you kind of go through one side and then pull on it. It'll make the like, what is it? Like the horn look a little bit curved, and I like that look. So I'm just going to go ahead and make the other horn. I'm not really going to explain to you what I'm doing because we already made one. So hopefully, you know, I'm going to make it. It's pretty simple. Like that. And I mean, you could make the horns longer, but I kind of like them being small like this. But that was definitely a preference thing. I mean, there's no reason you can't make the horns longer if you'd like them to be longer. But I kind of like them being really stubby. So that was just a me thing, because you could totally just add some more like bands and then make them longer. But I liked them being stubs, so I'm showing you how to make them stubs. Like that. So the very last thing we need to do is his face, and it's not too hard. It's very similar to how we started. Ooh, nearly dropped my camera. Sorry about that. But it's very similar to how we started the arms and the top of the head. So we're going to do a triple cap band with 6 stitches in it. So we have one more stitch in it than like the times before. And we're going to do it in our purple color, or whatever your second color is. But for me it's purple. And once again, we're going to start by wrapping a band 3 times around our hook. So we'll go 1, 2, 3. We'll pull a band through the cap band, put both ends back on our hook, and push the back one over the front one. Then we'll go through our cap band again, pull a band through just the cap band, both ends back on our hook, push the back one over the front one, then push the loop from last time over as well. And we're just going to repeat that 4 more times, so we have 6 loops in this cap band in total. And I'm going kind of fast because we've already done a couple cap bands in this tutorial, so hopefully you have the hang of it. So, yeah. Is that 6? So once you think you have 6, you of course want to count to make sure. So you'll start by counting the one on your hook, so you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And once you've made sure you had 6, instead of going into the cap band, you'll go through this first loop here. And you'll just make a stitch, and put a C-clip on this one. Like that. Oh my god, my camera's falling again. I don't know why it keeps falling. Hold up. Okay, we should be good. But now we're going to want to increase every other. So basically every other stitch we do is going to be an increase, just like we did earlier in this design. So this first one will be our single stitch, so the next one's an increase. So we just put 2 stitches per loop because it's an increase. And then the next one will be a single stitch. Oh, my camera's not focused. And then because we just did a single stitch, this one will be an increase. And just remember, all an increase is you just put 2 stitches in 1 loop. And the next one's a single stitch. And this last one's an increase. And then once you get to the C-clip, you're just going to go into that next loop and you're just going to pull a band through everything and you're pretty much just going to tie it off. And then we can take our C-clip out and then this piece is our face. And I kind of like to squish it into more of an oval. It'll want to go into an oval kind of, it's pretty simple. And then we'll just tie our face onto our Yeti. So we'll go through part of these bands here. And then we'll go through part of our Yeti and we'll just tie them together. I usually only have to tie the face on like twice and then it's pretty good. But you're just going to want to tie the face onto the Yeti. And you also want to make sure you're only going through like the back half of the loops, because if you go through the whole loop, if you're using white bands like I am to tie it, it'll show up. So make sure you're only going through like the back half of the loop when you tie it in. And like I said, once you tie it twice, usually it's on there pretty good. I don't think I have to tie mine in anymore, so I'm just going to tuck the tails. And I'm tucking them in off camera because tucking them in on camera is just so much harder for like no reason. I don't know why. If you've watched multiple of my tutorials, you know at some point I give up tucking tails in on camera because it's just so hard. Okay. So like that. So now we want to do the nose, and the nose is pretty easy. So we're going to get 2 bands, and we're going to wrap them, I think we wrap them 5 times around our hook. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then we're just going to pull a band through everything on our hook. And we're just going to slide that band on. And then we're going to tie this nose into our Yeti. Just come in the middle of this face bit. We'll tie our nose in. Like that. We'll tuck the tail. There we go. And that's our nose. If you have trouble wrapping it 5 times, you can always only wrap it 4 times. I honestly just like wrapping things 5 times lately. I don't know. It's been a thing. So the very last thing we need to do is the eyes and then the cheeks. So you're going to want to get your eyes. I have my 2 beads right here. And you're just going to get a piece of string. I like using dental floss. I just think it works best. And we're just going to put the bead onto the string. You'll take a band, put it on the string as well, and you just fold over, back through the bead, and then slide it on. And we'll do this for both the eyes. that. And then we'll just use these bands to tie the eyes in. Okay, so get your Yeti. We'll just tie them on either side of the nose. Where do I want to go? We'll go right here. We'll tie them in. And once again, you don't want to tuck in the tails until you like where the eyes are. There's one eye. Come on the other side of the nose. Find a spot to tie the other eye. There isn't much space. I guess we'll tie it right here. This guy's eyes might look a little wonky, but that's because tying things on camera is also extremely difficult. I think his face is a little crooked looking. Hold up, let me tuck the tail in and then I'll show you what I mean by I might have to fix his face because it's a little crooked looking. Like, his face is clearly more this way than this way. But it's fine. It's just, it's so hard to tie, like, straight on camera. I can't explain it. But anyways, we're gonna come right under here, under the eye. And we're gonna do our cheeks. So we'll pull the pink band through. Both ends back on our hook, push the back one over the front one, and pull it tight, but not too tight. And then you'll just hide the tail. And that'll be your cheek. And we'll do it to the other side as well, even though his face is very crooked. You can come right under the eye. Tight but not too tight. And then you just hide your tail. Even though his cheek is like hanging off his face. I'm gonna have to fix his face off camera, but it's okay. He's still adorable, and I feel like you get the gist of how to put together your Yeti. So, I think that is it for this tutorial. I hope your Yeti came out okay. I showed you how to do everything correctly. His face just looks a little off, and I think his arms are a little too high, but like I mentioned earlier, it's really hard for me to sometimes see where I'm tying things. So sometimes things just come out a little wonky, but hopefully yours came out okay. I mean, you can hopefully see what you're tying, so you didn't have as many issues, but if you make a Yeti, definitely share it with me on Instagram. I would love to see it. So my Instagram's gingercel, and you can check me out over there. You can also follow me on Instagram if you just want to see what I'm up with. Like I said, I'm going back to school, so if I disappear, I'll usually post on Instagram why. I felt like I had to sneeze again, but we're good. Also, just Instagram's a good place if you want to see what is coming. I usually post whatever designs are coming on Instagram definitely before you guys ever see the tutorials here, so you can check out Instagram for that as well. Subscribe if you want to see more tutorials from me. I have more tutorials coming. I think the next tutorial is going to be a tutorial for this pie, which is designed by Loomigurumi. So hopefully soon we can get a tutorial for that on this channel. I've been working on it. But yeah. So I think that's it for this video. I hope you liked it. I'm sorry if I seemed a little rushed at the end. My voice is kind of feeling like it's going to go soon, and I don't know when that is, but I hope you guys like this tutorial, and yeah, don't forget to show me your Yetis. I will see you soon in the next tutorial, I guess. Bye.